Alright, we're going to do one more test tonight. I'm going to try and not say or or play with my frickin' nose. I'm going to get that out of my system right now. There we go, okay. And I probably should have figured out a topic before I started that. You know what? Square. You know what? The teams concept. Let's go with that, okay? Teams. Once upon a time, you bought I shouldn't say that. You bought a game. You picked a game. You were interested in a game because the company that made it or produced it or whatever, that was how you determined whether or not it was good, because you knew they made good games. You know, you see a Capcom game and you're like, heck yeah, or a Nintendo game, or a Tecmo. No, not Tecmo. Who the heck made? Yeah. Whatever, you know. And the example here, though, is Squaresoft. Squaresoft, specifically. I wonder how many people don't know there was a Squaresoft before there was less than good, also referred to as Squeenix, or Square Enix if you prefer. Square Enix, sorry, I've heard it pronounced. I know it's Square Enix. But it doesn't really work that way anymore. Not just with Squaresoft or with Square or with Square Enix or whatever, but that's the example, I think, because Square makes some really bad games now. And Square's pushed out some bad games, and even some of the games that have done by their core team are not exactly fantastic, and yet there are some games that are done by some teams within the Square portfolio, I don't know what to call that are still good. You know, I'm going to point to the Kingdom Hearts series because those were good games. Those were well done. Those were done by a specific team, have been done by the same team this whole time with a few minor changes, obviously. Or how about the Four Heroes of Light, the Final Fantasy Four Heroes of Light, or whatever the full title is, that often gets confused for FF4 because of the way the titling works. That was a good game. It was a little bit simple, but who gives a crap? It was fun. I liked it. I haven't actually beaten it yet. It's on my list, but whatever. Then you have games like... Well, I hate to drag this out, but, you know, FF10-2, or Nier, or games that carry the Square label, but really aren't, like Just Cause 2, or... Oh, what was the other one recently? It's another Eidos or Eidos game, and I can't think of the name of it. Kane and Lynch was a Square game, I think. I could be wrong on that. I could be thinking of the wrong one. But my point is, these games were not good games. Or, well, actually, that's a complete lie. Just Cause 2 was an awesome game. But you get the point I'm getting across. You can no longer say Square makes good games. They don't. There are teams in Square that make good games. The remake crew is actually another example for Square that I would put out. The people who did the FF4 remake on the DS, the full-fledged, no-really, rewrote the whole game, added new scenes, added new concepts and mechanics. That was an awesome game. I bought the hell out of it, and I don't regret it at all. The team that did that, you know, good job. But the team that did FF13, and I hate to bash FF13 because that seems to be the national pastime of gaming critics, because I don't want to stress for a moment, I actually like FF13. I actually enjoy it. I just think that if you were to rate the FFs here on a scale, FF13 would be right about here. Not good compared to the other FFs. Still a good game, but clearly no longer FF material, in my opinion. It was a good RPG. But that's the perfect example, isn't it? Because it's a Square game, and so is everything else I've mentioned here, with the possible exception of the few I might be getting confused. But it's not really about the company anymore. I'll give you another example, Nintendo. Nintendo might seem like a bad example, because I actually am personally rather fond of a lot of Nintendo games, and I think they do things right more often than not. You know, the Ocarina of Time remake was good. I enjoyed it a lot. I had nothing bad to say about it. The new Kirby that's coming. Well, that's not actually Nintendo. The Metroid, that wasn't Nintendo either. What the heck has Nintendo done lately? Well, you know what? The 3DS thing. In general, that was, in my opinion, a misstep. A poorly done idea. that was executed in advance and in a rush when they knew that none of the games that people would really care about would be out yet. And in my case, only one of those games are out still. And after all these months of the 3DS being out, the only game that's out that I would buy on the 3DS is the Ocarina of Time remake, and I beat it. Original and Master Quest. Now, I'm still going to buy it. I'm still going to support the game because that's what I believe in, that I want to actually keep the gaming industry going and encourage people to make good games still. So I'm still going to buy it, but that's still it. That's the one game, and if I went out and bought a 3DS tonight, which I'm not going to do, obviously, for one game, then I would buy that one game, and that would be it. I think that was a bit of a misstep, but they do good as well, obviously. I think I'm one of the few people who actually thought New Super Mario Bros. Wii was a good game. Not a great game, but a good one. I loved the unholy hell out of Donkey Kong Country Returns. Gary and I were playing through that at length and enjoying every moment of it, even the extremely frustrating moments. I have one, maybe two, but they're related complaints about Donkey Kong Country Returns, and that is, for a game that should be co-op, it wasn't co-op friendly. The fact that you lose 2 lives every time you both die, no matter what. The fact that so many of the levels were completely exclusive to one player, like any of the barrel levels, where you're in the barrel and you have to hold down A in order to make the barrel go up, and you let it go to make it drop. The second player just puts his controller down and sits there eating up lives and enjoying all the pie, while the first player is like, "Oh God, you're dragging me down," the whole time. It was just frustrating, and pointlessly so. They could have done something. They could have added some mechanic for the second player to be assisting in the process. Or at the very least, very bare minimum, don't make the second player be eating up lives when that happens. That was so frustrating. We had to actually go out, drop player 2, and start playing in single-player mode to beat some of those levels. I shouldn't say we had to, but we did because it was just getting so pointless. We were just throwing lives out the windows on some of those levels. Anyways, I think this is long enough. We're at 7 minutes now. Let's see how I did.